We are here with Danelle Au from SafeBreach, a hot and very visible startup company from Silicon Valley, and the latest partner with ON2IT. It's when you read about your company, it's fun that it has its basis in the frustration of one of the founders who worked at a corporate. Maybe you could share a bit about how SafeBreach started.
Yes, I think the best companies in the world are actually founded by someone who's experienced, as you said, the frustration of a problem and they're trying to solve it. So SafeBreach was actually co-founded by two folks, Guy Bejarano, who for many years was a CISO, and our CTO is Itzik Kotler, who spent many years doing red team services. And so they came about it at two different ways. For Guy, when he was a CISO in 2012, he was asked by his board and his CEO at the time to present and talk about how secure they were. All of their peers in the industry were being breached. They were investing a lot in security, but it wasn't clear whether things were going well or things weren't going well. And so Guy really struggled to answer that question.
He needed an answer for his board.
He's like, well, that's a good question. I can't guarantee we're not going to get breached, but I think we're doing the right things. But how do I show that? How do I actually show how secure I am? And so he set out on this quest with SafeBreach to answer this question. And when he was trying to do it, he actually hired hackers to break into the environment. They found 5 things, and then in his mind, he thought, well, what about the 6th thing that they didn't find? Typically, when you hire ethical hackers, you hire specialized humans to come in and try to break into your environment, there are a lot of limitations. One, which is typically a very short engagement. It's a 2-week engagement, 3-week engagement. So they can get expensive, and you can't afford to keep paying them. And the other challenge is that once they write the report and they hand you the report, they walk out of the door, that information is probably obsolete because your risks are going to change. You always have new users, new endpoints, new applications, and you've got to have a better way to keep up.
So now with SafeBreach, you have the virtual hacker, you have the 24/7 hacker,
exactly,
which is attacking your company and analyzing what the attack surfaces are.
Exactly.
So I can imagine that when a company is first exposed, when you install the sensors and the agent, sometimes it must be quite a shock
Yes.
when people actually see how exposed they are. Or this depends, of course, on how advanced techniques SafeBreach is using, but I can imagine that sometimes people are really surprised. How do they handle that?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a breach method perspective, we try to play the hacker, a real hacker, and the techniques that a real hacker would use. So we're not just focused on vulnerabilities, which is what the industry in general for security validation has focused on, and that just hasn't worked. So we look at techniques that a real hacker would use, like RATs, remote access tools, malware, exploits, brute force, and we automate it. So it's very fast, very efficient, and you start seeing results in 20 minutes. So from a customer perspective, we found things that they didn't expect, like an internal server that they thought was segmented properly had actually an outbound connection to the internet. We found a lot of, and actually this is very, very common, a lot of customers deploy very, very good security products, but we found misconfiguration in the protocols that they supported. Human error,
yeah.
Exactly, which is very common. And as a result, we were able to bypass that specific security product. So there's various ways that we played the hacker. Most of the time, yes, the news is shocking. And from a success perspective for data exfiltration, we've had 100% of success in customer engagements in finding exfiltration paths. But for us, the key is that it's not a point in time. So for the customer, we find something now, they can continue to evolve.
It must be a continuous process.
Correct.
Otherwise, it's like you do the audit, you're okay.
Exactly.
But
And honestly, it's better to find out and be able to be proactive and have that benefit of time to address those issues before a real hacker actually finds them.
Right, because that seems to me one of the also most important issues is that by exposing your organization to a hack, be it a legit one, that you create some kind of training ground, dry training on how, where to look, what to do, how to
Absolutely.
report to the board. That
Yes, absolutely. Most of our use cases are to validate that their controls are working as expected, because they've deployed, the typical CISO deploys between 50 to 75 different products, and a lot of them are point products from various vendors. So they want to know, are my tools really working as expected? And then it's to predict attacks. If I see an attack in the headline, is it going to happen to me? Well, we can show that. And then the third thing is what you talked about. A lot of SOC teams, the security operations team, may not be aware of what a malware looks like. They may not know what to look for. And so with SafeBreach, when we simulate breaches, they get to build that muscle memory, that training to know what to look for, to know how to react, and to make sure all that process is in place to react appropriately when an actual breach actually happens.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, we'll be having a good, informative day today. Lots of nice areas. It's ironic that in order to be a good company, you have to be a very bad guy, or think as the bad guys do. You don't seem
Yes,
like
we,
a very.
we think like the bad guy. Yeah,
You- well,
we're
you
the
don't-
good guys.
You don't seem like a bad guy. So, well, have a great day, and thanks for telling us about SafeBreach.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
All right.